Everything outside is covered in ice, so since I'm kind of stuck inside for the day, I figured why not just make a video. So today's video is going to be about how to get clean water for drinking and cooking while you're out backpacking. So the first two topics I want to mention is purification and filtration. Purification is going to kill any of the bad stuff that's in the water. So here in North America, we don't have to deal with as much problems in the water as there are in other countries around the world. But purification will kill a lot of bad stuff that's in the water. Filtration is just getting any of the contaminants out of the water. So as far as water sources, sometimes you're going to be camped at a site that has a well or a water cistern. The water I found is not always that great tasting at those sources, but that is an option. I prefer to get water out of a moving water source like a stream or a creek. Like standing water, like a puddle or a pond might have, mosquitoes or whatever in it. So I'm not, don't want to mess with that too much if I don't have to. You don't want to be getting water downstream from a farm, or if there's a dead animal in the creek or whatever source you're getting your water from. All right, moving on, let's talk about some of the different options. You can boil water. That will kill most of the contaminants in the water, but you would have to filter it. You can filter through a bandana just to get any bugs or whatever out of the water. Another option that you would also have to filter for is using tablets. You can find these at pretty much any outdoor store. They have iodine and chlorine, chlorine dioxide. The iodine tablets, from what I understand, are pretty bad tasting. I've never used the iodine tablets. I do have the chlorine tablets, but I've never had to use them to this point. I really don't have much to say about those. There's somebody that I backpack with every once in a while that uses Aquamira, which are drops. They come in, there's two little bottles that you have to use. I'm not sure what I think one purifies it and one takes the taste of the purification out of it. So I'm not sure exactly how they work, but you do have to, there is a waiting period when you use the tablets or the Aquamira. When you put those in your water, they differ depending on what brand you're using. You have to wait a certain amount of time before everything's clean to drink. There's also a thing called a SteriPen, which is a battery powered ultraviolet, I believe is what it is, and you stir it around in the water. I wouldn't want to trust the battery, and plus you would have to filter the water anyways to get all those bugs or whatever out of the water. Another popular item I've seen on a lot of YouTube is the Katadyn Be Free. I've not actually ever hiked. I don't remember ever hiking with anybody that's ever used one, so I don't know have any firsthand experience of them. But the problem I see with that is it's a filter. The problem I see with the Katadyn Be Free is that you might have to attach it to the front of your shoulder strap, because it's basically a water filter about this big with a soft bag that holds the dirty water. And I don't see any way of putting that bag into the back of my hip belt pockets while my backpack's on. And then the final thing I'm going to talk about is the Sawyer filters, which is what I use, and I'm going to go over those shortly, the different ones that I have. And those are filters. They're not purification, but they are filters, so they take pretty much everything out of the water that's bad for you here in North America. Okay, so moving on to what I came to be using, what I currently use. The first thing that I used when I first started day hiking, probably 12 years ago or so, was this Camelback. Pretty small. It has I believe this is a 3-liter bladder system inside, with the, it has the hose. Don't know what happened to the bladder. Thought that was, who knows what happened to that. So this is, I still use this every once in a while if I'm doing a short day hike where I don't have to worry about getting water into the bladder. I'll just fill up the water bladder at home, put it in the refrigerator so it's ready to go the next day. Just take it out and put it, I got some cold, and then I'll just have some cold water to drink as I'm hiking. I have a few issues with using water bladder. First of all, you don't know how much water is in the bladder unless you take it out. You might be trying to take a drink and all of a sudden there's no water and you're miles from a water source. So I don't like not knowing how much water is in there. I also don't like if I'm backpacking and I have to cook with water and my clean water is in something like this, and I have to hold this upside down and drain the water out like that. That just seems like a pain. And then also to refill the water bladder, you would have to take it completely out of your pack. And then after it's filled up, to shove that water bladder back into your pack. I also don't like to have any kind of liquids in my pack. I've had stuff leak in my pack before and it's not good. There is an option. I've seen a few places that they have an option where you can do it like an inline. You can put a water filter like inline here. That's just something I'm not interested in at all. Never tried it and not interested. So eventually I moved on to using smart water bottles. These are one of the most popular things you'll see on trail. There's also Nalgene bottles. They're just too heavy and bulky. I don't feel like carrying that. These are so much lighter. The only thing with an Nalgene bottle though is you can put boiling water in it, so you can't do that with these. These are great. They have the flip top cap, which we'll discuss shortly. So the first water filter that I started using was this one here. This is the Sawyer Mini. See it here. Pretty small, as you can see. It has a very slow flow rate. This one here, pop the cap off. This end screws on. It has a gasket right here. This screws on to a water bottle. This will screw onto your water bottle, and a dirty water here, and then you could just squeeze water through and get clean water on the other end. The problem with these though that I found when I first started using them was I was having trouble reaching them as they were in my backpack pockets on the side. So what I found were these things that Z-Packs makes these. There's a bunch of knockoff companies that make these. These are called Aqua Clips, and what they do is they clip on to the daisy chain on your shoulder strap right here, and then you could just clip the water bottle in here. I'll show you. That will just clip on like that. The water bottle goes there. What I was doing was I took a piece of shock cord and put it down lower so it wouldn't bounce around too much like this. Although the problem with this that I found was that these things would break. They're pretty sturdy, but they will break. So as you can see here, I broke 2 of them. Z-Packs sent me, I just called Z-Packs and they just sent me a replacement for free. So that was cool with them. There's also some companies, I'm not sure if Z-Packs makes these or not, but there's some companies that make like a sleeve that attaches right here that you can drop the water bottle in. I never tried them, so I can't really speak to those. So I started looking for more options, which I'm going to discuss shortly. The next thing I want to talk about is this bag right here. This is an Evernew. I got the 2-liter Evernew dirty water bag. Now the way this works, this one I found is so much more sturdy than the Sawyer bags that come with the Sawyer squeeze or any of the Sawyer filters. So yeah, this is a 2-liter bag. And I like that the bottom end here has this, I don't know if you call it a gusset or whatever it is, but you use a hole puncher and you punch these holes out, and you can string this up and you can hang it like this as a gravity filter system. I had a carabiner on this end, so I had the option of just hanging this over a tree or just more options. Well, eventually one of these things broke, but it still worked. This was a good bag. I didn't mind the bag. The thing is, eventually, ironically, on the first day of a 6-day backpacking trip, I think is when it broke. The seal right up top here broke, and yeah, you could also, you put the dirty water in there and you just squeeze it down and filter. I would have my Sawyer squeeze filter attached to this end. But when you do put that filter on there, now this one has an adapter. This came, I don't know where I got this adapter from, this blue part. That just squeezes on there. So when you put this adapter on there and you tighten it up, let's say you're gravity filtering or you're just squeezing the water through, what you want to do is you want to give that just loosen it up just a little bit so there's some air can get in there. Otherwise the water is not going to flow through. So that's an option. I'm going to be talking about this filter in a minute. So since I was out on trail and I had a broken dirty water bag, what I started doing was, I had 5 more days on trail with a broken water bag. I had 3 water bottles with me. I made one of them a dirty water bottle, and I'll discuss that shortly too. One last thing I wanted to mention about these bags is they're good for if you know you're going to be camping in a dry campsite and you want to carry enough water with you, you can use a bag like this as long as it's obviously not a broken seal. And that's what I'll do with my old Sawyer bags. This is the newer one they came out with. This is the older version, which was quite a bit smaller. I don't know what size they're still making, but yeah. I've seen a lot of bad reviews about these things breaking pretty easily. Another thing I would recommend is just take a plastic water bottle, just cut it in half, use the bottom of it like this as a water scoop. If you have to get water out of somewhere where you can't get to very easily, you can just scoop water like this and just pour it into your dirty water bag or whatever you're using for dirty water. And I've also seen people taking just these Sawyer bags and cutting them in half and using that as a water scoop also. Your water filter will just nest inside there like that. So it's not like it takes up any space there in your pack or anything. And obviously this thing weighs nothing. Okay, going back to the Sawyer Mini, which is my first water filter. Like I said, the flow rate is extremely slow on these. So there is a Sawyer Squeeze, which I'll be talking about again in a second, which has a much faster flow rate, but it's bigger, heavier, relatively speaking. But Sawyer came out with the Sawyer Micro, which is kind of an in-between. So I figured, the best of both worlds. I'll try that one. So got this one. It actually saved the day on a backpacking trip one time. I was out with hiking with Hot Pants, and he had the Sawyer Squeeze, the full size. It quit working on him, so this one saved the day on that trip for the rest of the trip. 3 days, I think that trip was. So so that's what I used for a while until I decided to try out the full-size Sawyer Squeeze. So here's the full-size Squeeze compared to the Micro with the adapter on it and the Mini. So a little bit bigger, but it'll still nest inside that my water scoop. You don't want to let these freeze. There's hollow fibers or with filters, everything inside. So if you're camping in cold weather, keep this inside your sleeping bag with you at night. I usually put it in my pocket, and you also want to keep it in a Ziploc bag. There's still going to be water inside the filter, which you obviously don't want leaking out into your sleeping bag at night. So that's the deal with this. So what I did with the filter is, this is my dirty water bottle. This is a 1 liter, and this is just a koozie I made for winter backpacking. But this will just screw onto my dirty water bottle. Then I will just hold a clean water bottle between my feet and just squeeze this bottle, squeeze the water into the clean water bottle. So that's currently what I'm using right there. So like I said, 1 liter dirty water bottle. This is a 750 ml clean water. And then this one here is a 500 ml bottle that I use for my flavored drinks. I like to use the Propel. Let's get it up right. I like the Propel because I just empty this packet into here, and this is the exact amount of water. I don't have to measure anything. I know exactly that it's going to come out the way I want it to. I forgot to mention, when you get one of the Sawyer filters, they're $30 to $40 for the Sawyer filter. They will come with this straw too that you could also attach to the end and just drink out of a water source. Well, I guess it would go on this end. But I've never had the need to use one of these. That's kind of like survival situation there. One other thing about these kind of filters is you need to back flush them after. I do it after every trip. I back flush it. I will take a bowl and fill it up with hot tap water, and then they come with this syringe. So what you would do is you would take and suck up a bunch of clean hot water and push it through the other way to force anything out the back end of the filter that way. But something like this is just too big and bulky to carry on any backpacking trip, so I don't use it. I rarely filter while I'm on a backpacking trip. If I had to filter on a backpacking trip, what I would do is I would take some clean water, attach it to this end of the filter. Fortunately, this sport cap fits perfectly on the end of this. If I was to take this white part off of this cap, and you could just squeeze clean water through that direction. And then one last thing I want to mention as I'm wrapping things up here. Like I said about not letting a water filter freeze, my last trip, I knew it was supposed to get below freezing. So what I decided to do was to take something that literally can't freeze, is these water purification tablets. Now, I forget what brand these are, but 2 of these will go into this bottle, this 750 milliliter bottle. I believe it takes 2 hours or something, 2 to 4 hours to be effective. I'm not worried about these not freezing. And then what I would do to filter out any particulates or whatever is I just have these coffee filters in this bag right here. So what I would do, if I had to, I would just put a coffee filter in the top of my clean water bottle, and then just pour the dirty water through that way. Drop these 2 tablets in there, and good to go. Also tried an experiment with my Camelback with the hydration tube. Like, this would be a normal hydration tube for a Camelback. One of the things with the hydration tube is they will freeze really quickly in the winter. So I tried an experiment with putting silicone tape around it to keep it from freezing. This is the kind of tape that you put around pipes to keep them from freezing in the winter. It made no difference at all. The water still froze. Some of these companies make some kind of tubing covers for these, but I don't know how well they work. The best thing to do is, after you take a drink, hold this up above your head and squeeze the bite valve so that the water drains back out of it and there won't be any water in the tube to freeze. Especially in the summer, the water in the tube will start to get hot if you're not drinking from it for a while. So just hold up above your head, squeeze the bite valve, let the water drain back into the bladder. So I believe that's all I got for this one. Anybody got any more tips? Drop them in the comments below. And as usual, thanks for watching.